Well, hi everyone. Welcome to the segment, the healthcare device segment, where I'm actually extremely excited to be talking with Philip Siberg. He's the co-founder, the head of U.S. expansion for Coala Life. Philip, welcome. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
So to kind of give the audience a little bit more of a background, we have looked well over 600 healthcare devices globally. And one of the things that really stood out to us, one of the companies that stood out to us was Coala Life. We're really excited about not only the product that they built, the markets that they're in, but also what you guys are doing in heart health. And that's why I wanted to invite Philip to have a conversation with him about what makes Coala Life so great and why you are what we think one of the best healthcare device companies globally. So Philip, with that, I think to give a baseline to the audience, maybe I'll just play your video of what is Coala Life, and we can go from there. Sound good?
Sounds good.
Great.
The need of monitoring patients remotely may never have been as critical as now. The Coala Heart Monitor is an award-winning medical device used by hundreds of healthcare providers to help remotely follow and diagnose hearts in real time. The Coala is the only prescription heart monitor that offers diagnostic quality ECG analysis and heart sound recordings simultaneously to the patient and healthcare provider. To use the Coala, the patient downloads the Coala app and connects the device securely via Bluetooth. Recordings are performed in everyday life by gently holding the Coala to the chest for 30 seconds. It's patch-free ECG without any wires. The chest recording is followed by a second high-resolution ECG recording for 30 seconds. The recordings are then sent encrypted to the cloud and analyzed automatically by smart algorithms. Within seconds, the results are presented to the patient in the Coala app. Simultaneously, more comprehensive clinical data is presented to physicians in the web-based Coala Care portal. Abnormal results, such as atrial fibrillation, are detected with industry-leading diagnostic accuracy. The Coala is ideal for telemedicine services and virtual interaction with patients at home. Prescribe the Coala as a 30-day event monitor or long-term as a remote patient monitoring solution. It's simple to set up in the clinic or enroll directly from the patient's home. There's also no waiting for results. Summary reports are available for download at any time. Love the Coala.
That's a great introduction, great video. I'm curious if there's anything that you wanted to add on top of that.
I mean, to give a glimpse, I mean, we're a Swedish founded company. We started out of a research project that had been going on for about 10 years with attempts to digitize the heart and kind of bring better monitoring solutions to the market. And so I founded Coala Life as a company in 2015. We launched in Scandinavia about 3 years ago. And then we always had the US as our kind of primary endpoint. And we got FDA clearances 2019 and went to market here. Been on the market for about 9 months now. And we've had a very kind of a exciting path the last couple of months, given that the whole clinical market has moved to telemedicine and then remote patient monitoring. And FDA also helped us to expand our indications. So not only do we monitor the heart, pick up the ECG and the heart sounds, but now we can also use this for respiratory monitoring. So listening to patients' lung sounds from home, which is a very smart clinical application in times of COVID, et cetera.
Awesome. Well, I think it was quite unique with some of the things that you've built and the progression of your product as well. I'm curious, why did you start Coala Life? Is there a backstory to this?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a backstory with a personal perspective. When I was running a previous venture, the classic, all the money came in, so many stakeholders we had to deliver. And then I ended up in the ER, just feeling like, shit, I'm dying in a heart disease. And just ended up there realizing, first I saw my friends lying in the ER as well with similar heart problems. realizing that, it's a palpitation issue. You get these skipping heartbeats because you're stressed, you're overworked, and you lie there for a couple of hours with the ECG on you, and that's it. And then you send you home and realize, who's going to follow me now? And so I wanted to kind of take control of my own heart. I wanted hospital quality EKG in my own hand. And that kind of spurged the first interest to how can we bring and democratize cardiology and bring it to the masses. And that's really what eventually created the company.
Awesome. Well, one of the things that why we thought Koala Life was so unique in comparison to a lot of other healthcare devices is in a couple different ways. The first way that stood out to us was your method of collecting heart data. We've seen a variety of companies using radar, clothing, different types of wearables, even implants. You guys have a patch-free combination of chest and thumb ECG device. I'm curious, why did you guys go this route? Does this method expand your ability of analysis? And what does this mean really to patients and providers?
Yeah, so the core team that we have are, a lot of them have been with St. Jude Medical, and they've done, extensive kind of cardiac research and kind of knew how do we get the highest quality of data. And I really wanted Koala to be a device that, providers could diagnose on. There are, amazing watches and other consumer devices out there for screening and finding, early red light signals. But I wanted Koala to be the next step where, okay, if the watch found something, then you prescribe the Koala and use that as a basis for diagnosis and basis for treatment. And to be able to do that, we require to have a very high resolution data. So we pick up lots of data as we do this. And then we realize that you can't really do things by just using your thumb and your wrist, because you don't pick up the small little changes in the EKG. One of the most important markers of your EKG is what's called the P wave. That's where the ignition starts, and that creates the electrical impulse, which kind of makes the heart beat. And the P wave is the marker for a lot of cardiac diseases. And to be able to pick that up, you more or less need to be monitoring on the chest because of it's kind of low amplitude. So what we took the route of saying, okay, let's monitor on the chest because it's very patient friendly. You don't have to wear anything. You can pick up the Koala anytime. You have it in your purse. You don't have to feel like a patient. And then we have this other second recording that we mentioned in the movie. We do this, and by combining these two together, we get an accuracy which is 3 times of what just using using your fingers. And that creates the kind of diagnostic quality needed to be able to use this for treatment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing that's quite unique about your approach is, we've seen some devices, some direct to consumer, others have some form of rented model, but yours is actually offered as it has to be prescribed by a physician. Curious why you guys decided to go this route.
Yeah, so we actually started with a business to consumer model in Scandinavia. And we did that partly to create a lot of attention, get a lot of marketing buzz, but also to quickly get a lot of users, to learn from these users and generate a lot of data, because we needed the data to fuel the algorithms so they get smarter and smarter and get this diagnostic accuracy. And by going the consumer route, that was a great start. And we also got the usability to learn, how do we perfect this product? And then we felt, now we have this perfect product. That's when we hit the US. And we then decided, let's go the prescription route, because I met so many physicians in the US saying, hey, the issue is that people are coming in with phenomenal watches and consumer devices. And I can't bill for them, so I don't get paid. And the quality is not good enough. So I need something to take the next step. And there's a lot of products out there today that are not as digitally transformed yet, meaning that you go from this cool watch and then suddenly you have to wear something on your chest for 30 days. So we wanted to be the very patient empowered diagnostic solution in between there. And then, so now what we offer is a fully billable solution. So whenever we provide this to physicians, they get properly paid for their time, and we are reimbursed by every single insurance company in the US. And we fit very well, especially in kind of primary care, where whenever you have these kind of initial heart issues, you typically go to your primary care physician. They take the first hit. And instead of just getting referred on and then you get something on you and you have to wait 4 to 6 weeks to get the results, with a Koala, it's real time. So bang, 2 hours later, you can have your diagnosis, you can get your treatment. So we're trying to just be the real-time solution that everything else is in society. But the cardiac world has been very offline and still is in large part.
Interesting. Well, and then the third point that we thought was quite unique about Koala Life is you guys did get your FDA approval for your device. So I'm curious, that we've seen some ECG devices not go that route. Why did you guys go and get FDA certification? Why was it important for you?
Yeah, again, it was really the start. I mean, the US is like 40% of the world's medical device market. It's by far the largest. I mean, you have to, if you don't succeed there, you won't succeed at all. And the US, it has 110 million people with hypertension, and 1/3 have pre-diabetes and et cetera. So there's a huge market, and it's very well structured, I would say, compared to European public healthcare. US has a lot more clear reimbursement routes. It's a lot more clear how to get through it. But it took us 22 months to get through the FDA, and we came in with a very novel product with a device, with apps, with a cloud-based solution, with portals, algorithms, and so it's kind of cybersecurity, clinical accuracy, and usability were kind of important factors for the FDA. But we got through, and it's great to be here.
Awesome. Well, it's one of the things that unique about the healthcare device category as a whole, and something that we're seeing among remote patient monitoring solutions, is the general trend is that we're seeing devices kind of combine and offering a variety of different analysis solutions, as well as a lot of them tend to be going the health management telemedicine route. So not just a device that can collect data and make an analysis, but it's a platform play. And again, why we thought Koala Life was so unique is because you've kind of done a combination of both of those things. So I'm curious, why was it important for you to build out that kind of telemedicine and management platform for both the patient and provider? Why is it important?
Yeah. I mean, first on the combination, we saw early that the EKG is, measuring the electricity of the heart, which is, a Nobel Prize invention. It's been around for 100 years, and it's perfect. But you can have a very perfect EKG, but you have mechanical heart issues, which is not picked up by the EKG. And so what people then use is typically first line is a stethoscope to listen to the heart and understand, do you have these murmur type of sounds, which is a sound that you have mechanical problems of the heart. So we saw that kind of the two most common primary triage methods in care is the stethoscope, which is from 1850s or something, and then the EKG. And we combine those together. And by combining mechanical and electrical diagnostics of the heart, you can find there are incredible opportunities with that from a clinical perspective. So that's why we combine this together. And there's so many additional things you can do with this platform. And then we saw the value early that we wanted the patient to be involved and be empowered. They want to see what's going on when they're doing these kind of stuff. So that's why whenever you use the Koala, as a patient, I will instantly see in my smartphone, what was the result of the recording. And then the prescribing physician, they will see everything in a web-based portal instantly as well, but in a lot more comprehensive format. And this has been very important. And I think we're going to talk about it, but we did a big study where we proved that it really helps to improve quality of life when people see what's going on and they get the response back. So again, the platform was very important. We always put the algorithms in the cloud and not in the phone to be able to use this kind of a centralized format.
Okay. And I guess that's kind of what it feels like for a lot of healthcare devices, is how that industry is evolving as a whole. It's being able to have real-time information feed that can also provide analytics to diagnose an individual for a variety of different conditions. And the more data points that you can bring in, the better. Provide. What do you think is those market drivers? What do you think is how the industry is going to evolve in the future? It's going to push more healthcare devices like this. What I think, I can probably just generalize. What do you think is the future of healthcare device category? What direction do you think it's moving towards?
No, I think one thing is these kind of integrated devices doing multiple things. I think, the consumer market is going to continue to explode with devices, but they also need to fit into the healthcare system. And I think today there's still too much of an ecosystem of consumer devices outside of that ecosystem. So a lot of consumer companies have successfully kind of moved into healthcare. So that's happening definitely. But I think in general, things are getting more and more integrated. It's going to be part of your smartphone. From our perspective, to be able to get the clinical accuracy and the abilities that we have, this cannot be integrated into an app on a smartphone. But it could be for early screening purposes, where the accuracy is not important enough, but to give a signal. So I still think that there will be a lot of separate devices, but they will need to be highly integrated so the data goes directly into electronic healthcare records, and they're very integrated in the kind of care flow, both from a productive point of view in the clinic, but also billing and kind of the whole patient flow.
Okay, thanks. I know it's kind of a big loaded question.
Yeah.
I'm curious, now that we're kind of in the midst of the pandemic, and that's the purpose of doing a virtual conference, but how has the pandemic affected your operations? How are you making those adjustments? I know you talked a little bit earlier about some of the capabilities that you built out with your product to respond to that, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I think the first 2 weeks of the pandemic, we were a bit kind of confused. What do we do now? But then we quickly realized, like, this is the biggest turning point, in the medical device industry ever, both in terms of, physicians calling us and saying, hey, I lost 95% of my patients. I need a solution here and now to move to telemedicine, to keep my patients out of the clinic. And I need, again, a diagnostic solution that I can, when I do my FaceTime calls, I can prescribe a med instantly. So we quickly adapted to this and had a huge interest in the market. And then, as I said before, and then we could expand the indications to offer additional functionality quickly with support from the FDA. So that helped too. I think that's kind of the product side. Then the industry is totally changed. It's gone from large trade shows and congresses, of, perhaps limited value to everyone, but they've been there, to now being a fully virtual sales and marketing process. And I think it's yet to kind of figure out what is the optimal way for everybody to work. But I'm hearing from, the customers I have, everybody's getting bombarded with emails and webinars, and everybody's going virtual at the same time. So it's a challenge to adjust to this. But I noticed something interesting. There's this large European Society of Cardiology meeting, which is the largest cardiology meeting in the world every year. And that attracts typically between 20 to 30,000 people. This year, it went all virtual. And as of, a couple of days ago, they had 120,000 listed attendees. So suddenly you're going virtual, but you're also reaching, suddenly the globe. So I think it has a lot of positive effects with this. Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely a really big transition for all aspects. Yeah. But
definitely, yeah.
In kind of even, what's really impressive about Koala Life, though, is the progress that you guys made. For most healthcare, it's a big struggle. There is regulatory issues. There's a lot of other options for different other devices, different form factors, etc. It's hard to work with providers. The sales cycles are much longer than most other enterprise software solutions. How have you guys been able to grow? And what has been that success factor for you to not only become a European company, but now a global company that's working on also across Europe?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, really, it's all in the team. The rest is just technology and some IP. But I think it's been around. We early on really agreed, everyone, on a very bold vision that we want to be helping the world and winning the battle against the leading cause of death, which is cardiac disease. And then we just said, we're in a bloody hurry to make that happen, because it's, there's 50,000 people dying every day in cardiac disease, of which half of them had no idea they had a cardiac disease. So there's so much to be done here, and we can really be a contributor of that. And so that was one part. And then I think being a Swedish company, we come from a kind of an early adoptive little region up in the north, which is highly dependent on export. It's always been as a country. So we quickly prove the case at home, and then we go abroad. That's always been the Swedish model. So we were we did our homework at home, and then as of last year, we expanded into Germany, the Netherlands, to the US. We initiated an exciting collaboration in Japan, and now we're heading into Australia. So there's so much you can be doing as well now in the virtual world. But it's always been, as I learned being in Silicon Valley for some time, it's like work hard, play hard, but then also play big. I think that's the important thing. And you got to play so much bigger than what you really are.
Awesome. Well, I on that note, you guys did something really big, and you did a massive study in Sweden. And so I'm curious if you want to talk about, I would like to highlight that. And if there's any other partnerships or studies that you've done, I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah. I mean, we have a very research-friendly platform. It's kind of easy to distribute to a lot of patients. So what we did was we said, hey, let's look at the female heart, because there's a lot of studies showing that women are not taken as seriously in cardiac care, and their symptoms are typically prescribed and detected later than men. So we said, let's just recruit women, and we did this big clinical study with the Karolinska Institute, which is the Nobel Prize Institute, and we quickly recruited 1,000 women who all had issues with the heart in terms of kind of palpitations, and they were high admissions coming in and out of the hospital. And then we gave them each a koala. We asked them to do daily recordings for 2 months. So we collected almost 300,000 EKGs. And what we could see by that, and we asked them a lot of questions before and after the study, that by having this patient empowered and seeing the results, that really helped to kind of increase quality of life. It decreased their symptoms of heart problems. It decreased their levels of depression. And we're seeing that it also decreased admissions to hospitals. So we could see that there is a huge value in this. And now we're discussing, how can we further refine this? But it's it really gave us a proof. And then again, all that data that we generated was additional fuel into our algorithms. So we again could update them and kind of, improve the accuracy additionally.
Wow.
Incredible. And then there's a lot of more big studies going on. And again, like I said in the beginning, what we've done with this is, because you can distribute it so quickly to patients, this Red Heart study that I mentioned on women, we, from first kind of brainstorm dinner to first published paper, it took less than a year. And that was, a study on 1,000 persons. And it was all, the consent form, everything was done in a digital fashion. So it was really one of the first purely digital clinical studies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I mean, it's incredible. I think, we covered a lot of what makes Koala Life unique, great, but also what's impressive that you guys have done, especially within heart health. And this is exactly why we thought you were one of the top companies within the healthcare device category. I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add other than we can give you some time for a closing remark about some of the things that you're looking for or working on.
No, I think we kind of summarized it well. I mean, I'm proud. We raised, what is it now, about $25 million to make this happen. We have been fortunate that, most of our investors are family offices and wealthy individuals. So kind of went more that track rather than the venture capital track. So that has given us perhaps a little bit more freedom in kind of defining, what the path of what to do. I think we have right now, specifically in the US, where there are phenomenal solutions out there for, putting EKG patches on the chest, which is great, but those products are limited by its own technology, meaning that, you can't wear anything for more than 10, 14 days. You'll go crazy. You want to tear it off. So our thing has, we don't have any limitations as a function of its technology, meaning that you can, I have people now who've used a Koala on a daily basis for 3 years, and they absolutely love it. And that one has been a key contributor. So despite being so many cool products out there with, you wear patches and stuff and wearables, in the end, nobody really wants to be a patient. They just want to live their normal life, but still be able to check their vitals. So it's finding that right mix of technology, usability, and then really, again, it's always, the end customer is always going to be the patient. Now, how do we if they are happy, the whole healthcare system is going to be happy.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Philip. I really appreciate your time. I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you shared a lot about what makes Koala Life great. And, if any audience members have any questions, we'll make sure they reach out to you. But thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Excellent. It's great to be on it. All right.